So first of all, I want to make people aware of the importance of this this conference and the session, especially in my session, the tax and budget session. Things that have come out of our session in the past are pretty impressive. We can talk about the creation of the Tax Policy Office of the Department of Revenue. The idea came from here. Corporate income tax reform, personal income tax reform, estate tax reform, increasing the direct expensing to the federal limits, removing the sales tax on utility costs, and some unemployment tax reform. All had their start in our group. And the important thing is you guys are listening and you're acting on our recommendations, which is important. We also recognize that not all of our recommendations have been acted upon, but it's a process. And as I often explain in dealing with lobbying efforts in Rhode Island, it's the business climate. And I use my baseball analogy. We have to play good defense, hit a few doubles and singles, steal a few bases in order to make the playoffs. We all have heard that Rhode Island ends up at the bottom of a lot of the ratings on taxes and business climate. The perception often hurts us, but the perception, we've got to change that. As we work through the system, Governor Raimondo in her inaugural speech said that we didn't get into this problem yesterday, and it's going to take us some time to get out of it, but we have to do it piece by piece. Our issues. 2 years ago, we did substantial estate tax reform. We think we still have to push that forward. It would be great if we had enough revenue to get rid of the estate tax. And we have some dueling swords over here. There's only 14 states that have estate taxes, and yeah, there's a button on there.
Oh, all right. This is going to be fun.
If we don't have enough revenue, I think the next step is to look at the increase in the exemption and also exempting family farms and small businesses. And I don't think that's a big cost attached to it. I would have a 5-year clawback that said, you know, if you leave the state or you sell your business, we're going to claw back that estate tax return. But I think that's a next step that would be important to the small business community. Another issue that was important to us was property taxes. We're at the bottom of the rankings on property taxes. This is somewhat of a municipality issue, but there's some things we can do. We can standardize the appeals process and the assessment process. We could standardize, like Massachusetts does, the excise tax on motor vehicles. So we have your car is taxed at one rate, whether it's in Providence or in my town of Portsmouth. You know, the differences are, and we also have to look at the tangible property taxes and the tiered tax system we have in the urban core. In Providence, residences are taxed at $19 per hundred, commercial property at $36 per hundred. Tangible taxes, personal property taxes, $55, and vehicles $60 per hundred. Huge discrepancy. The issue is businesses don't vote, so they're easy targets, but we have to do something about that to be competitive. We did look at some technical correction issues. We've done some reforms. I think we have some tweaking we need to do. Things like the state tax refunds. We shouldn't be taxing state tax refunds because we don't get any tax benefit. I didn't think about it when I put the proposals together first, but I think we should do that. We should give the tax administrator the ability to do tax benefit rules. Another thing we have to look at is our interest rate on past due taxes is 18%. That goes back to Carter. That's a usurious rate. I know we need to have an incentive to pay the taxes, but we're by far the highest in the country on that. The one issue that struck a chord to everybody, and you're probably going to read about it in the paper tomorrow, is the letter of good standing issue. We're requiring letters of good standing to do many more business transactions, and Rhode Island is a disaster when it comes to that. I get a letter of good standing in the state of Delaware. I get it in 24 hours. I get it in Massachusetts in 36 hours. I go to the Division of Taxation and hand it to them. They say, as a minimum, it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, and sometimes it can be 4 to 6 months. Governor, I would say, this is something I would just say, fix it. I'm giving you a roadmap, fix it. There's both statutory and administrative, but we have to fix it. It's holding back businesses, and I'll work with you on that. We did discuss the tolling issues. We did take a poll. The poll results, in just summary, 52% said our roads and bridges are in poor or very poor condition. 68% said the Department of Transportation is dysfunctional and we need to fix that. And I would say, before we give the Department of Transportation the amount of money we're talking about, I would set some benchmarks for them to tell us that they've actually reformed and get in order to take on that responsibility. 42% said they needed more information. So in spite of all of the information that's out there, there's still some question marks about that. 53% said that the tolling plan will have a negative impact on our economy, either somewhat or very negative. And there is, in the public, I think you're aware of this, general distrust of government. 65% think that the tolls would be expanded at a later date, and I think you have to get over that hurdle. So we look forward to working with you, and may the force be with you.